Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer blasting the Supreme Court after its 6-3 ruling that presidents have legal immunity for official acts, calling it a, quote, disgraceful decision by the MAGA Supreme Court, claiming it enables former President Trump to weaken our democracy. Plus, there's this. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries putting out this statement saying, quote, House Democrats will engage in aggressive oversight and legislative activity to ensure the extreme far-right justices are brought into compliance with the Constitution. And there's more. We're going to keep going. New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez claiming the court has become, quote, consumed by corruption crisis and is vowing to bring articles of impeachment against Supreme Court justices when Congress returns from their recess. Joining me now is Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald. He's a member of the House Judiciary and Financial Services Committees. Congressman, your reaction to the very extreme comments coming from your colleagues on the left in the wake of the court's decision?
We're talking about a 6-3 decision. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable to me and a little bit dangerous for not only the President of the United States, but the Majority Leader in the Senate and certainly my colleagues in the House, kind of over the top with this snap reaction to what I think is a very measured ruling that Justice Roberts has become known for. So it's it's a little bit dangerous, I think.
Well, you know, the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal writes this, you know, this is all a very blinkered view that ignores the long-run implications for the American republic. The majority rightly focuses on the institution of the presidency and the ability of all presidents, not merely the last one, to act in the national interest free from prosecution for official acts. The broader picture, which, you know, Justice Roberts did write about in his opinion. Why is that being lost on your colleagues?
Yeah, absolutely. The problem, I think, is that, listen, President Trump has had a nice little run here over the last couple of weeks, and the level of frustration after the debacle with the presidential debate. Like I said, you're just seeing a snap reaction to all that stuff. If in fact the ruling would have been the other way around, certainly I think you would have seen a little bit different cachet of responses that are coming out of the Democrats right now. But, you know, President Trump had a good day, and I think the presidency did, and the Republic did too. Which is what Justice Gorsuch was getting at, I think, when he said, listen, this is a ruling for the ages. In other words, this needed to be defined, and I think the Supreme Court did a great job in doing that.
Yeah, I've got Emily Dominich on set. She's got a question for you, sir.
Yeah, Congressman, do you think that the White House is greenlighting these over-the-top attacks on the court, or is this just another example of the squad and AOC really controlling the narrative on Capitol Hill for the Democrats?
You know, I think very seldom does a member of the House or the Senate not at least think to acknowledge what's the White House going to think about this? What's the presidential response going to be if they say something over the top? I'm not sure exactly what's going on internally within that discussion between the White House and some of these members, but you would think there would be some type of concerted effort. And what we've seen now for the last 3 years is that not only is there coordination, but I think in some instances, it's both the Senate and the House and the Democrats within those bodies that are actually the ones that are delivering the message for the White House. Because quite honestly, as we've seen this past week, their best option, the messenger, the President of the United States, has not been up to the task as of late.
Well, let me ask you about that, in particular after what we saw last night, and that was a president that was reading off the prompter word for word. You know, the Biden campaign is pushing back on calls for President Biden to drop out of the 2024 race, of course, after that disaster of a debate performance. But one Republican lawmaker who was speaking anonymously to Fox News Digital is warning the GOP that they should be careful what they wish for. They suggest a new candidate who is younger, more popular than Biden could create, quote, a tougher race. And that changes everything. And then I want to add really quick here, a headline in the Washington Post, Biden's 2024 survival requires a lot more than hope. And it talks about the stakes and the debate performance and says that the argument that Biden says he's the best person to win can't be used anymore, and that it can't be accepted and parroted by party elders whose judgment Biden trusts and respects. So there's two lines here that I'm asking about. First off, Biden clearly is saying he's not getting out of the race. And then a Republican is telling Fox News Digital, hey, be careful, Republicans. You want Biden to stay in the race because he's weak and he'll be beaten in November.
Right. One is, and I'm not the first one to make this point, I think, is that for them to switch out Biden for some other option at this point would admit to the American public that he's not up to the job right now. And this world is way too dangerous to have somebody in the White House, in the executive branch, that isn't up to the task of running this country right now. And I got to be honest with you, when I'm in the district, I did a lot of events this weekend. The one question I get from constituents all the time is, who is running the joint? Who is in charge at the White House right now? And I think before, when Robert Klein was there, we all knew the chief of staff was running the joint. We have no idea what's going on over there right now. And that should make everyone uneasy. On the other front, I think that, going into this convention in Chicago, I think, quite honestly, there's still a lot of internal discussions as to whether or not a very, very weak Joe Biden, which we're seeing in the polling already, is going to drag down members of the House in these marginal districts. And the U.S. Senate would absolutely be lost if things remained the same as they do today. That's when you're going to see people pushing the panic button. If they lose control of both the House and the Senate, and then Donald Trump is the next president, we are going to be able to fix this country, but not the way the Democrats want to do it.
Well, that question has been asked repeatedly. Who really is in charge here? And again, I go back to what I personally witnessed last night was a president that was on prompter. And I wonder if he wrote what was in said prompter. And the other question here is obviously when it comes to who was in charge, the only people that seem to have any influence over him right now are Jill Biden and Hunter Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea that this halo, which the Bidens have as a member of the Judiciary Committee that has run oversight, has been part of the oversight, and the debacle, which is Hunter Biden and the president's brother and the whole family. I mean, if they lose that halo of being in office, there's some big concerns, especially if Donald Trump is the next president, which I fully expect at this point. There's a DOJ that would be more than willing, I think, to just take a look again at what the Bidens have been up to. And that's why Hunter Biden is the president's biggest fan right now and is probably begging his dad to remain in office.
Congressman Scott Fitzgerald. Congressman, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Cheryl. Good to be with you.
All right.